morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on which part of the world you are joining us today, and also when you see this online. It is our pleasure to be here today, the second day of the programming of the RISE PECOWorld Summit and the third day of the overall summit, because we did have our opening plenary on the first day, and I hope that you have also caught that as well. Every day is based on a theme, and today the theme is on entrepreneurship. Why? Because we believe that there are these three personas that are required to solve the problems of the world: partners, entrepreneurs, and citizens. And so every day is dedicated to one of them. The last being ownership, when we all come together, because without collaboration, we cannot change the world alone. So welcome once again. Today, we will be talking about the entrepreneurship and the value of it in changing the world. Every day, we start with the Beyond series. And today, the Beyond topic is about Beyond MSME, to talk about WSGE, why purpose should be spoken of over size. When we talk of MSME, the typical way is always, because of the size, you look at it and then you say, okay, small, medium, micro, but really, is that the only criteria? In today's day of social and environmental challenges, is it not just the economic factor that we look at, or would it be more important to look at the social and environmental aspects? And that is what social entrepreneurship is all about. That is what circular economy is all about, right? They contribute to the economy. And so we need to change the old mindset of an economy first kind of approach to looking at it as an integrated social, environmental, and economic. The triple bottom line, if you will, right, that we need to look at from an entrepreneurship perspective. And so today we have with us a wonderful set of leaders, entrepreneurs, thought leaders who have actually walked that path, who have actually faced the challenges that is there to be able to grow their enterprises so that they can help solve the challenges of the world. How do we support them? What are the policies that we need to support them? How can we collaborate to make this world a little more easier and kinder to them? Because entrepreneurship can be a pretty lonely, difficult, and long journey. And to hear about this, we are going to talk very soon to some of these really, really hardworking, but not hardened, sensitive as ever to the challenges of this world and how we tread the path together. To get us started, may I please first bring on board all my wonderful experts and thought leaders to the fore. And you do that. Awesome. Hey, I think we're all here. Great. Thank you all very, very much. I really appreciate you all taking the time to give of your knowledge, your experience, and above all, your wisdom. Because, knowledge is not the same as wisdom, right? We all know that. And neither is experience the same as expertise, because when we put out advertisements for people, and I know we all do that all the time, we normally say we want somebody with 5 years of experience and 10 years of experience. But honestly, especially in today's day and age, experience no longer means expertise. They're two very different things. So good morning once again, and thank you so much for joining. I have with me Mr. Eroshan Alagattam, who's the Regional Director for WeConnect International, Mr. Jaideep Mandal, who's from EY India, Vanita Chowdhury, an entrepreneur running Radical Edge Learning, Madhvan Pandey, who has founded School Livelihood Foundation, and yes, I also have with me Jayatri Rai from UN Women, India. So a really great set of people with very diverse set of, perspectives, experiences that we are going to look at to get started and to share, right? And to maybe talk a little bit about it from an overall perspective, I'm going to invite Eroshan to just give us a very quick feeling and context to what is this about women's social green enterprise, which is so important, and what We Connect is doing now across the world, right? So, Eroshan, over to you, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you, Karan, for and your team for organizing this wonderful RISE PECOWorld Summit. And also I know it's very difficult to bring in a diverse group of leaders, thought leaders, and change makers for 5 days of engaging conversations and discussions. So. At WeConnect International, our mission is to connect women-owned businesses to global market opportunities. Over the last decade across Asia Pacific and globally, we have worked with thousands of women entrepreneurs and hundreds of multinational corporations. One observation consistently stands out all the time is that many of the women-owned businesses creating the deepest impact are not necessarily the largest businesses. So some are small, some are medium sizes, some are social enterprises, some are green enterprises, but yet they are transforming lives, creating jobs for marginalized communities and promoting sustainable production, supporting local economies and addressing environmental challenges, in a way that many large organizations struggle to achieve. So perhaps the question we need to ask today is not how big is the enterprise, but rather what value is the enterprise creating for society and communities? So because ultimately the size tells us how much a business has grown, the purpose tells us why it exists. And increasingly, the purpose is becoming one of the strongest indicator of long-term resilience, innovation, and sustainability. So WeConnect supports the women business owners and corporates to identify the capabilities and identify the challenges, and and helping them to do businesses in a common platform. So we work in over 135 countries around the world with 200 plus larger corporations as our member buyers with $4 trillion annual purchasing power. So every day we hear the challenges from women-owned businesses, challenges from corporate perspective, challenges from ecosystem perspective, and also we always, trying to work together with the other ecosystem partners, chambers, and the governments, and the even women business owners, leaders, and all, how we can connect these dots and make sure that we are using the resource that's already exists, and put it together in a meaningful manner so that the development just run in a single track without going into the different direction. So think about a women business owner, right? So and think about the ecosystem. So for women on business, she has a purpose, she has a mission, and she has created an enterprise with a certain objective. And all the other ecosystem partners, like, so for an example, WeConnects provide them business connections and trainings and all. And there's some other organization provide certification. Some organization provide, financial education, finance, access to finance, and someone provide the legal aspects. Someone provide the mentorship. But how many people these women business owners need to go and talk to get the services, that she needs, right? But for her, it is just one business. It's not like, 10 or 15 elements of this. So, I mean, I'm really interested in this conversation to talk about, how we can bring these all multiple actors together and make it easy for women business owners and the small and other business, small, medium, and other green businesses or social entrepreneurs to access these already existing resources and the benefits in a meaningful way so that we can, move the needle beyond what we actually, discuss in this conversation. So I pause here and then, we'll go into the other discussion we'll have. Thanks.
Absolutely. And you said rightly, right? The challenges that every entrepreneur faces, and of course, specifically women entrepreneurs, because that's what WeConnect works with. And we have a woman entrepreneur right here with us, and who has really tread the path for many years and has scaled her business. And yet, I'm sure there is a lot more to be done. So, Vanita, please help us understand a little bit. What are the challenges that you face as an entrepreneur? And it's not really just about a woman entrepreneur, right? I mean, all entrepreneurs face many of these problems. So, yeah, please do share with us.
Thank you so much, Karan, for inviting and also asking a very profound question. And also right in clarifying that it's just not about women entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs in general. But actually, I would like to again specify that and make it more specific for women, because working with a lot of entrepreneurs in the last decade, I have noticed one thing. with men, the entrepreneurship becomes a lot easier and very open-minded, because the thoughts which come, the actions that they do are like so easy, right? But as I think as women, firstly, we hesitate to ask help. So we struggle a lot, but we don't want to go and ask for help. So that's one big, impediment I see. The second is, when you get advice, you want to go and get it validated with so many people. It could be your family, it could be your, so you're like spending so much time getting approval, validation, and not taking action. And third, the whole idea of, believing that a business is your baby. I strongly condemn when women say, this is my baby. I said, no, it's not your baby, it's your business. Business is very different from children. We can't even own your own children anymore now. So the point is, when I moved from corporate, so I worked in a foreign bank with a very nice, all the benefits and paid holiday of a month in a year, and you couldn't ask for anything better. And I was there in that organization for 16 years. So I worked for 21 years in corporate, then moved out with zero knowledge. I had no idea whether should I start a private limited company or a proprietor, or what are the documents, zero. That's when, because for me, it is easy to ask help. And I think for me, I thrive in collaboration and seeking advice, help, and doing something about it. And I remember speaking to a lady. In fact, she gave me that advice on how to go about it and do's and don'ts and blah, blah. So one, when you start off, now with technology, of course, 10 years back, now I'm running Radical Edge for 10 years, again, being successful. Yeah, this month we complete 10 years of Radical Edge. And honestly, I think ask help. Today, technology gives you. If you go to, organizations like FICCI and WEP and the MSME of the government of India, there's lots you can take. If that is too overwhelming, please reach out to people around you to ask help and find out what's best. That's the first thing. Second thing is, when you get advice, end of the day, a lot of people tell you a lot of things, but end of the day, you know what is it that you want out of your business. So I strongly recommend that women entrepreneurs or any entrepreneurs actually use business plan. It's my go-to, and it is so logical and so full that you can't miss out on anything when you start with an idea. So it gives you a real heads up. Once you have that, what is more important is networking, constantly being out there. So you can't expect to be in one place and then expect things to happen. You need to be out there. And that's when, Karon, I strongly believe in this brilliant book called Give and Take by Adam Grant. Okay, you need to know the ability to give. In networking, people hesitate because they feel they need to ask. It's actually not asking, it's giving. Okay, giving openly, freely to help someone and uplift someone. Because I got helped when I started from a woman, I really decided that day that I need to help fellow women as much as possible for them to have a seamless journey into entrepreneurship. And that's what I do with WeConnect. I work with Erosion, I work with you as part of my giving back, very happily, that knowing that it's going to help someone. So continuously network. And the third thing is, don't hold on to something if it doesn't work. Because getting emotional, let me tell you, is a landslide in business. So you need to be pragmatic. You need to, of course, I'm not telling just give it up one day. I'm telling try everything, but realistically, things are not going to happen. And with technology, daily you wake up to some new apps. So technology is growing very fast, and hence you need to align and marry yourself with technology and not fight against it. So you can imagine I'm in a learning development coaching, which is more human-centric. However, I'm so aligned to technology. I love AI, I love technology. And how do you use it for the betterment of the human is a key. So in the last 10 years, I've evolved continuously. What I used to do and offer in 2016 to what I'm doing in 2026. It's a way whole different world. So consistently, consciously, and daily, okay, evolve, learn. And I think that's my big go-to mantra for entrepreneurs. learn. Yeah, be open to learn.
Great, great. Thank you so much, Vinita. And congratulations, definitely. 10 years is a great milestone, something to be truly proud about. So
Thank you so
we
much.
wish you many more such milestones, absolutely. Yeah. So Madhuvan, Vanita said that, there are problems and there are some which are specifically because of women. You have got both experience because as a male entrepreneur, obviously you have your set of challenges, but you also work with women entrepreneurs of different low income households and SHGs, etc. So, and from the community. So, tell us more about what are your challenges first yourself, and maybe the women who you work with or the other communities that you work with. How are you supporting? Because livelihood is the other name for entrepreneurship in community development sectors, right? So, please share some of that with us.
Thank you very much, Karan. It's a great pleasure to be here. And as Vanita has already talked about, that's where I was smiling, the challenges for an entrepreneur, right? I'm very gender agnostic person. I think challenges remain the same as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, because entrepreneurs, by its definition, doesn't know who you are, right? It's all about what problems you are taking and how you are going to solve that particular problem. So it's all about entrepreneurial approach, right? How you look at the problems and how you are going to solve at it. And from the social enterprise perspective, how we are going to ensure the revenue is continuous and driving the business. Because at the end of the day, while the entrepreneur need to be resilient, our business also need to be resilient enough, right? And that's where we had formed this Score Livelihood Foundation to build a resilient community, right? Why I need to be resilient enough, my organization need to be resilient enough. At the same time, the people to whom we are working, how I can help them to resilient enough. As far as challenges are concerned, I think Vanita has talked about, the country is full of challenges, but it's a responsibility of an entrepreneur to look from a different lenses, right? How these challenges become an opportunity for me to build upon that, to build the business in and around those challenges, right? And I think if there is no challenge, there is no fun in the game. So as an entrepreneur, every day is a challenge, right? Coming to the office and looking at how the customers, community, the clients, the team members are responding to a particular day. So challenges are there, and that's why we as an entrepreneur came forward to accept that challenge, build a very innovative scale-up model, and reach out to the millions as far as our country or the globe is concerned. Yeah, Karan, you want to?
I just wanted to say, as a follow-up to that question, maybe I should have added one more. Is there anything specially different which you have as a challenge because you're working on social impact in communities? So if that is there, but please continue. I'm sorry for interrupting. Go ahead, please.
Right. So I think from the challenges perspective, yes, the diversity itself is the challenge in today's context. Technology is a challenge when we talk about the rural, semi-urban space, right? Someone has talked about the artificial intelligence, etc. The entire media, the communication has also giving a challenge into a different perspective, right? So these are the opportunities and challenges at the both front. We as an organization are trying to co-create the solutions, right, with the community, because going to the community with a preconceived notion, what we thought, what my funder is looking into it, right, what the entire ecosystem is looking at it. But it's very important to co-create the solutions with the people who are suffering from a particular problem. So in our approach, in our philosophy, we don't go to the community with the preconceived notion. We go with an open mind, sit with them and try to co-create the solutions. And I recall when we started the foundation 9 years back, for us, the one mantra is that we never wanted to go in the market and talk to the people. Hey, I'm also one of the social enterprise, right? Because there are so many foundations and NGOs and civil society organizations are there. So I'm there not to compete with anyone, but to collaborate with the people so that I can bring the expertise from the market, from the different players, and curate it, co-create it to take it to the community so that I'm in position to create a bigger and better impact for the community. So that's where I'll stop, Karan, and we can, yeah.
So we've heard from our entrepreneurs at the table, right? I think now I'll move to Jaideep and Jayatri to really talk about, how then do we really support them? What is the capabilities that exist in the ecosystem? Because like Eroshan said, we need to build an ecosystem around them which they can reach. Because as Vanita said, simple thing like, do I have a private limited company? Do I do a partnership? Do I do a sole proprietorship? Do I do a one-person company? Because that also is, there was so much of hula hula around that, and that's kind of gone completely, right? So how do you really navigate? Even the basics sometimes can be so difficult. So maybe Jaideep, if you can come in and say, what are some of the ways we can really support these entrepreneurs, and what are the ecosystems that exist out there that really would be very valuable for entrepreneurs?
Absolutely happy to take that question, Karon. And let me quickly introduce myself. So I'm Jaideep and I lead the ESGS and sustainability for EY GDS India. So I just joined a year back. Okay, before joining EY, I have been with Accenture for about 15 years. So I was driving the supply inclusion and sustainability agenda. Okay, and this is something which is very close to my heart. So as you know, right, with a lot of changes in the last 1.5 years, okay, with the administrative order that US has passed, right? So many organizations, right, they have renamed this program, right, the supply inclusion and diversity, or many organizations and corporates, they have completely stopped the program because they don't want to get those legal cases against their organization, right? So, but still at EY, we are continuing this program, okay? And we have made many efforts and we are very committed, okay, to promote the supply inclusion and sustainable programs, right? So at EY, we are driving many programs, okay, which is focused very much on the women-owned businesses and other diverse businesses as well. So we have a couple of flagship programs, okay, one of the flagship programs that we are currently running, and this is very much for the entrepreneurs whose revenue is more than 10 million and 10 million above, right? So this program, like where we last year, like we have introduced around like 10 entrepreneurs from India. Apart from that, we also drive other programs, okay, like the enterprise impact program. So this program is, and this is something which we are going to start in the next 3 to 4 months. And this is very much focused on the small startup women businesses, right? So the idea is here to bring them to this platform, okay, that EY is going to drive, and we will provide them all kind of workshops, okay, which is really essential for them, okay, to start their business, okay, maybe for example how they negotiate, right, when it comes to negotiating a contract with a client, okay, and maybe the art of storytelling, right, when they wanted to pitch their offerings to a client, okay, they understand what they're pitching, right, that is very important, right? And then we can also get in design thinking, okay, these are some of the workshops that we have proposed to our internal team, and this is what the complete framework of the program. And along with that, we are also collaborating with WeConnect. Okay, what we are going to do, we are going to also drive a certification program, because you know that WeConnect certified cost around like $300. Okay, that is something which EY is going to sponsor for this small entrepreneurs, right? So, and this is completely like free, and we will select the best top 10 suppliers for one cohort, and this is how we are driving this for the next cohort as well. Along with that, we are also tracking our diversity spend, okay, just to understand, okay, for which category of the business where we are looking for more diverse businesses, okay. Mostly we see, right, we are spending more into HR recruitment, staffing, okay, more into corporate gifting, okay. Now, since we are hearing a lot about AI and AI implementation, right? So I think AI will be the next thing, okay, where we will try to figure diverse businesses who are supporting on the AI requirement.
Wow, that sounds like a great thing. And I completely agree with you. There's so much of capacity building itself that is required. And what Vanita said, right? We have to embrace technology. There is no way we can, do without it, nor can we at any point in time feel overwhelmed by it. You need to reach out and get help. I'm so glad to hear what you're saying, in terms of the kind of sessions and the capacity building that you're looking to do. And of course, supporting them to get certified is a big deal, because there are many large organizations that demand that and ask for them to be able to register them as a supplier. So that's really great to hear what you all are doing, Jaideep. And we look forward to partner and work together, obviously, on that kind of issues as well. So, Jayatri, you tell me, UN Women is the flagship in terms of, supporting women in many, many ways. I mean, it's not just about entrepreneurship. I completely understand that. But out of that, one part is economic empowerment. And so, what is it that maybe you can share that would be of great value to the entrepreneurs listening in today, and, be able to reach out to get support from you? Please.
First of all, thank you. Thank you for having us here. Thank you for organizing this wonderful conversation. It's not only sharing, but also learning from each other quite a bit. So thank you for that. Karan, let me just go back a little bit to talk about also what kind of group that we are working with. So the group that we work with is primarily entrepreneurs, those who are at the very grassroots level. They're primarily SHG members trying to have a livelihood. It's from a survival security point of view, and walking that path of livelihood and then making that as an enterprise for them. So I think Madhavan has already spoken about it, quite a bit about it. I just wanted to say that we in our work see that the biggest challenges that they face, because they do not have land, right? They do not have any access to resources as such. They don't own anything in most cases. So their capital is really that SHG and the collectivization and the money that they save through that SHG process. So access to finance, credit, grants, blended finance, whatever you talk about, it's a huge issue. And how do we really make that work for them is really a concern. Second thing is, as I think Vanita said, that the business development services and the mentorship. Who is mentoring them other than the CSOs and the other groups? There is, if you look at the number of SHGs that is part of our entrepreneurship ecosystem, I think there need to be more such we connect, more such score to actually address that group that we're talking about. We also look at the affordable childcare and care support systems, because these women have a huge unpaid care burden. And how do we look at that? And then comes is safety, security, social mobility, safe mobility, and all of that. So that I think this is all part of the ecosystem that we're trying to create. And within all this ecosystem, the central is really the social norm change. And how are we engaging men, families, communities to enable this kind of ecosystem where women-led producer companies, SHG, and cooperatives can really function properly. Now, coming to what we are doing. We have a very unique program which is in collaboration with Rangde as well as Manjari Foundation. It's a strong example of how we access to finance, how the women can access to finance. It also looks at entrepreneurship development and also community support, which is addressed from a structural barrier point of view, and to see that how low-income women can actually become entrepreneurs and run a very successful, profitable business. The whole idea, this we launched in 2024, and the model, the model is basically focused on the nano and micro enterprises in the rural India as of now. It is affordable credit, financial literacy, and entrepreneurship development, as well as mentoring support that we provide to them. What we also do is, this is not just a grant, but also it's a model that we focus on women financial identity and the credit history. So we try to build a credit history and a financial identity so that when they're looking at entrepreneurship ownership, they can actually access funds from the so-called banks and other cooperatives, angel funding, and all of that. The way it works is basically they apply, and there is a way that they have to apply for it, and there's a website for it. But along with the plan and what they do, we also look at the work very strong focus on, financial literacy, financial inclusion, entrepreneurship development, business planning. We help them with the business planning, market understanding. How do you understand all this stock market going up and down, demand and supply, and what's happening today? A dollar falling, whatever happening, all of that. And also we look at our repayment support. So it is not in a punitive measure, but it is actually an encouragement for them. It is a community kind of approach to them, so that they also hold each other responsible from the learning coming from our work on the SHG ecosystem. So this really helps too. So till now, till the early 2026, we have been able to work with 2,619 women entrepreneurs access this loan. 50% were the first-time borrowers, and we also approximately have disbursed around 11.87 crores. 5,418 social investors participated in this process. Enterprises created over 4,000 jobs, and we had also around 2,499 to those jobs have actually benefited women. So you can see half of those have benefited women. 90% of borrowers were actually repaying this loan on time. And on average, if you look at it, the enterprise revenues reportedly increased by 15 to 25%. So that's where we do this, because it's a whole we believe that it has to be a whole ecosystem. It cannot be something which is just one of it, because the women that we work with is socially, economically, politically, and in all other ways, if we look at it, is actually trying to make an identity of their own from all these various aspects of it. So that's what we do. We also do lots of work in terms of skilling women.
Right.
In the age of digital age, and we have AI. So we have programs in schools, colleges. We have also programs in ITIs, because that is where we see lots of women coming in as well. At the grassroots level as well, where we look at digital education. How do you use AI for your own business? Not only from a risk perspective, but also from a development perspective, also from a product diversification perspective and all that. So that's what we really do. So I stop here now, and more as we go ahead. Thank you.
While you were speaking, Jayatri, I was just thinking, while you're saying these are the challenges of self-help groups and women from, low income, nano enterprises, I think the challenges are the same even across the spectrum. And no, we have a way of defining entrepreneurs as, on one hand, we call them aspirational entrepreneurs, because they know what they want, they have the background, they know what they can do, and so they look at growing big. On the other hand, we have the nano enterprises, who are typically part of self-help groups or are part of some CSR program. But there's a big missing middle, which are the soulpreneurs, the women who just do work part-time because they just want to build something, and they are the missing middle. And somewhere the problems are the same though, right across, whether it is capacity building, whether it is financial literacy, whether it is digital literacy, right? All these things are the same. And that's why we have to create programs and create more programs that can cater to each. And that's why, like, Jaideep said, they have at one level for certain profiles of women entrepreneurs. You would have it at different, but we need all of this, what Reconnect is doing. So all of this is absolutely required. I'll give one more example. I tell you, we have the program called ABCD, and I'm sorry, a small plug during the session, but later today, there's a whole session on this model that we have that Idobro does. And we one time did it for what they were called Sakis, okay, entrepreneur Sakis, for one of our partners. And they didn't obviously speak any English or Hindi. It was just Marathi that we had to do. So we did the entire thing only in images, okay? But they knew exactly what they needed. It was not. So therefore, an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur is an entrepreneur. If you can build the entrepreneurial spirit and, support that, I think that's the only way that we are going to get more employment and employability. Because obviously everybody's struggling right now with AI, and the kind of job situation, but we can actually turn that around to the benefit. And so thank you for, showcasing this other aspect of entrepreneurship at the grassroots level, with something which Madhuban is doing very, very well as well. And I'm hoping that, we'll be able to talk more in terms of what you call it, collaborations in just a little bit. Another thing that you spoke about is obviously finance, right? And access to finance. I think that's again a very big problem. And it is again across the spectrum. I mean, I don't think anybody can say that, we don't need any kind of financial support, right? But again, there is, and I would agree with Vanita over here that there's a little bit of the gender comes, even though Madhuban believes it's gender agnostic, is that women are a little more hesitant to take up any kind of, loans or approach anybody for money. And I always keep telling the women entrepreneurs when we do the training program for them is take a small loan, take a very small loan, because that will bring in digital, financial, diligence that you will then become much more careful about, right? And you'll create a credit history. So these kind of small things are so important for them to understand. Yes, Jaydeep, please come in.
Yeah, I just wanted to add one point on managing the finance, right? And that is one of the challenging problem, okay, for all the small enterprises, okay, managing their working capital, right? And I'm sure you all guys are aware of this RBI, which has introduced a trade platform, right, for the small diverse businesses and MSMEs, right? So that's the good part of this. This was introduced in 2017, okay, where RBI has licensed three entities. Okay, the one is the MX1 Exchange, RXIL, and Invoice Smart, right? The best part is that the small organization, when they offer or deliver goods and services to any big organization, they can get their money within just 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so they have to just upload that invoice in the trades platform, and there are three parties who has to be in this platform. One is the buyer, the second one is the seller, and the third one is the financer, right? So once the invoice will be uploaded in the system, okay, and once the buyer will approve, okay, and then it becomes a factoring unit, right? And the financial will start bidding this invoice, and they will then invoice back to the corporate, okay, and then they will get the payment in 45 days. So this is one of the best initiative that Government of India and MSME is driving for the small enterprises.
Thank you. Thank you so much for pointing out, Jerry, because I think that's a big challenge that entrepreneurs face, right? Okay, how to get their financial, their cash flows in order, right? Because, how do you churn and do your turnaround, right? So this is really important. I think government is doing some great work to at least nudge and push corporates also to pay within the 45 days. And that again is something that is helping entrepreneurs a lot, because otherwise payment terms of 90 days and in some cases even 6 months I've heard of, which is like crazy how you're doing business on the back of a small entrepreneur, which is really not correct, I would say. So I think that's a great step in the right direction, and the government is doing, no doubt. And that's why I said, the theme is also that what kind of policies can we get in place that will help support entrepreneurs who are working and creating impact, right? Not only size, but even from an impact perspective. And as Eroshan said, that today the time has come for us to look at what value is being created rather than just what is the size of that business, right? Because if you're doing business as a straight transaction, great, you're making money, but you're making money for yourself. Whereas if you run a social enterprise or an impact driven enterprise, you're not only creating value for yourself, but you're also creating value for others. I mean, you should create profit for yourself, of course, but ultimately it's also about creating value for others. So how do we support that? So maybe we, starting right here from this table itself, should start creating a petition like change. You can have MSME as one kind of categorization, but let's have WSGE as well. We actually had an entrepreneur who was going to be here on circle economy, but unfortunately due to a last minute situation could not join us. But that would have brought in the green economy or the green enterprise kind of requirement, because climate action is such a big problem, right? But yeah, I mean, let's think about it. So let's talk about collaboration now. I think it's a great time to start moving towards collaboration. What do you think are some collaboration opportunities that exist? Of course, you all have mentioned some individual programs that you have, which definitely could be of value, but what other opportunities exist? I'm going to go back to the entrepreneurs. What kind of collaboration opportunities are you looking for? Let's start with that. Yeah, you can go ahead, Vanita, no problem.
See, as
Madhuban is a perfect gentleman. Ladies first. Go
I
ahead.
think, Karen, great question. Because it's not that, there's breadth of collaboration in India. Honestly, there's so much. The biggest concern is information about it. I
Yeah.
was very surprised actually in one of the conference I was attending in Delhi. I came to know from many women entrepreneurs that they actually didn't even have any idea about the funding or whatever benefits that the government was giving, or NASCOM. It was that program was arranged by NASCOM, so they had no clue. So in fact, one of the feedback I gave NASCOM is also, you're doing, see, one part is putting up all this together, fantastic, but how do you really get it to the grassroots?
Correct.
So that can happen only if all of us come together. For example, like Joydeep is from EY. Now, EY is a great organization. I have friends who are in HR with senior partners, and I know them. For me, as Vanita Chaudhary, I work with two different worlds, right? I have a world of corporate, which are all financial, like consulting firms. On the other side, I work with women entrepreneurs or organization like We Connect International, which I am also a member of.
Right.
So now, because I'm able to work in these two worlds, for me as a company, I'm able to collaborate a lot of benefits.
Right.
But the point is, there are so many other women who are out there who have no idea. So one, when you're looking at collaboration, I think what we really need to do is how to utilize the existing technology. Like WhatsApp is a great platform to send messages to the women entrepreneurs. So I know that MSME and WEP have website, but you tell me in all honesty, how many women in a day, including you and I, go to that website to check what are the benefits coming out? Hardly. So today we are living in a world of WhatsApp, and unfortunately, we are not utilizing it. Like, when was the last thing did you get? Say, I'm registered in MSME WP. When was the last time you got a WhatsApp message about a particular new benefit which has come from the government or a
Right.
health? So the information is one of the biggest bottlenecks we have today. And I urge, because we have Miss Ray here and Joydeep there, both of them, who have powers because you work in such organizations, to see what can you really do that can bring this information to literally everyone who needs it.
So
Okay,
when
how
you
get that
have been very
information to
busy.
organizations like WeConnect? Because
Yeah.
then WeConnect can pass it on to all of us much easier. So how many such large organizations do you work with the intention of passing information?
Yeah. So, Vanita, this is a great point for me to do some little bit of pitching of my own over here. Okay. I know you've been busy and that's why you didn't get a chance, but the Pico World Tech platform that we are actually has launched already, okay, on the opening plenary, actually is going to enhance what's happening in WhatsApp groups by doing that connection. Okay, so the problem with WhatsApp group, while you're absolutely right, for immediate, interaction, it's one of the best platforms. There's no two ways about it. Unfortunately, WhatsApp groups are full of people you don't know anything about, right? Because there are only few who are really engaged in this thing. Secondly, you lose your messages, right? Somebody would have posted something about some benefit, and by the time you have gone to see it, it's already gone, right? So being part of WhatsApp group is one part. Even if it is coming to you directly, you get 100 messages in a day, and by the time you actually are able to go and see it, it's lost. So what we are doing in the Pico world is we have created, I mean, this is something I was going to talk at the end, but since you brought it up, what we have created is a platform by which you can bring your WhatsApp group links into our situation, okay, into our portal. You don't have to recreate another group or another community. No, you exist in your current community, exist in your current WhatsApp group, but create a repository of important certain things in our Pico world. And that will help them to do two things. One is get visibility for their work because they are there. Others can see. And of course, you can have it private, you can have it public. You can have it only to registered users. There are multiple ways to ensure your privacy. And you can therefore also make all your members just go there whenever they need to look at what has happened in the past, just go to the repository and they get an answer. So there is a lot of facilities, features attached to this, and we can talk. I hope that all of you will go and check it out. But the idea of the whole Pico world now is to build collaborations, find collaborators, right? So how do you bring different people together and be able to share those resources? No creation of any more groups, no creation. Whatever is existing, just use the same thing. So we complement and strengthen it rather than, replacing
Create a
it.
new
So,
one.
yeah.
I think
So
that's a fabulous thing, and that is definitely a nice thing that you've shared, and I think it's much needed. And also reaching out, like, because honestly, end of the day, Karen, you and I are still educated. We are in that,
correct,
zone of networking. There are a
correct.
lot of women out there, like Madhuban was rightly saying. You really go to, even I'm not even talking MSME, even micro.
Sure.
Grassroots, it's
Absolutely.
so tough. They have no idea. And imagine people reaching out for a loans of $5,000 and $10,000 to just start a business. And I know while RBI and banks have already started the priority sector lending, they're doing quite a bit of their part. But honestly, what is really required is to empower entrepreneurs, whether it's a man or a woman, to
Oh,
really understand and take the best and not get too, bogged down with all
very
over the
true.
place thing.
In fact, we also have another session later today, which is called AI in Philanthropy, where we are also doing returnable grants. And it's amazing how successful that is, because you would think it would require so many other things. But anyway, we can talk about those. Those are some opportunities for collaboration, and we'd love to kind of explore that. But Madhuban, let's come to you. What kind of collaboration would you like to see happening among both the table over here, but also in the wider ecosystem? Yeah.
Thanks, Karan. You had already touched upon the importance of that. I think collaboration in today's scenario is no longer a choice. It's a strategic necessity for all of us, right? When it comes to an entrepreneur like us, we have our own communities, we have customers, mentors, partners, some of the investors, institutions, suppliers, supporters, etc., right? But it's
Right.
very important to look at who is going to really help us, right? It's not like we can boil the ocean and start talking to anyone and everyone at the same time. It's all about how much I can chew in at one moment of time. So I think from the strategic perspective, I really need to look at whether it's UN Women, where I can look at my partnership at this moment of time and hold it for some time to go to the institutions where I can seek the financial assistance to for my nano or the micro entrepreneurs, right? So it's all about, like, while there are different players playing their important role in the ecosystem, but who are really the best suitable and compatible as far as me is concerned, my enterprise is concerned, or my business is concerned. So I think segregating prioritization is very, very important to look at to whom I can go and what value, not only as Vanita had said, what I can take, but how I can also give to create a win-win situation, right? Because once we have just the taking mindset, I think the real collaboration will not work on that way. So particularly, that's how like me and my organization look at. It's not only what I can take, but how I can contribute to the larger ecosystems. So for me, like at this moment of time, bringing the knowledge collaborators is very, very important. If someone has built a very innovative solutions which I can take it, maybe I do a little bit of modifications and take it to the community for the larger benefit of the community. As Jatri had said, the platforms like Rangde and others, where I can help my entrepreneur to go and find and have easy access to the credit, which is very, very important things, right? So in this gamut of the entrepreneurship and helping the communities, it's very important to map the ecosystem, prioritize, and how I can not only take and but also the contribute to the larger ecosystem.
What a perfect way to put that, that you need to first absolutely map the ecosystem, right? And again, that's something which we tend not to do. We go to the wrong person for something that, that person can't give at all. Then how will you get it, right? So if you don't do your research deep enough to understand what each stakeholder can get and give to you, then of course, you will not get. Vanita, to go back to your point of give and take, which is a wonderful book, I completely agree with you. Incidentally, our go-to exchange on the Pico world, we have a go-to exchange. I'm going to forgive you for not yet going there, okay? So please make it a point to go there after this. So the go-to exchange is really about give opportunity, take opportunity. Okay. So all of us are capable of giving something, and that something, as Madhuban said, is needs to be mapped. And so we map it to saying that, partners give resources, entrepreneurs give solutions, products, services, and finally citizens give information or influence, right? Because that's what also you require, and it can be your customer, the person who you're serving, right? So we actually believe that everyone can be a giver for sure, right? But while being a giver, you also become a taker, because all of us get something back when we help somebody else. So it's always a give and take relationship. And so mapping those stakeholders is, we have mapped it based on the persona, but you're absolutely right, Madhuban. You need to do your research. You need, and that's great advice to every entrepreneur listening to this session, that you need to do that basic research before you go to somebody. What exactly can that person do? Why would they help you? What will make them help you or support you or partner with you or collaborate with you? And only then, and also prioritize after that, because you could have multiple things. You can't be like a kid in a coffee, I mean, in a chocolate shop, right? And say, oh, I want everything. Yeah, you definitely need to prioritize. Again, very sound advice, Madhuban, what you're sharing with for entrepreneurs to look at, right? So again, I'm going to go back to erosion on the whole ecosystem. And of course, now we are opening up. Everybody can come in at any stage to please add whatever you'd like to as we discuss with each other, right? So erosion, you set the context by saying we need to build the ecosystem, right? And I know WeConnect is doing a great job of bringing so many different stakeholders together, and everything you do is always in partnership. So how do you see opportunities for collaboration moving forward? What is it that you would like to see? And I think recently you also conducted tours, for women entrepreneurs. So what can you add to that, please?
Yeah, Karan, thank you. And Madhuban and Vanitha and everybody, rightly pointed out, the collaboration is a strategic imperative at this point of time. I mean, no one can, go excuse it or just, bypass it. So if you are kind of like bypassing the collaboration strategy, then you are not like going to make any impactful changes. So the big question is, how do we collaborate, right? So most of the organization, in my experience, with WeConnect for several years plus the other organization, we come to collaborate only when there's a need. For an example, right? So I get a project from USAID, right? So that, my organization, so the program needs some collaboration from chambers and that person, this person, and then you come together, create that and deliver that. And then, forget about everything and when the project is over. So there's no sustainability of that. So why you want to collaborate is the underlying thing that every organization in this ecosystem has to understand, because the resources were limited. Like, you are not going to have the same resource as you had like 10 years before, right? And there are already a lot of learning opportunities and same things available. So with this AI world, like, you don't need to recreate things that are already exist. So the systems are there for you to help to retrieve the information as you need and deliver it in a way that meaningful to the context and the people and the audiences. So it's also very much visible that none of the organizations or government or corporations can deliver it alone. So that is why the organizations like EY and Accenture and the other 200 other companies have joined with WeConnect Internationals to join force to meet their objective of buying from women-owned businesses, right? So how do you collaborate, and why do you collaborate, and what kind of sets you apart in terms of collaborating with organizations that you really need to enhance your business and meet your business goal is really critical, right? So that WeConnect International, from our perspective, we do host roundtables annually to discuss about the best practices, and we bring in the policy makers and corporations and the other NGOs, government sector, so that we create that dialogue, we create that platform for us to discuss and take actions. So usually WeConnect International's roundtables are not just ended with that kind of 1.5 hour discussion in the table. So we create actions, we follow up with the people. So, hey, you said this, and how we can take it forward, and can we do a joint project, or can we write a white paper so that this can be further strengthened, right? And for during our discussions with the MSME Minister of MSME in India, so we have also helped them to define what is women owned, business, right? And how they can really look at the management control and the ownership perspective when they register women business owners in their portal. So it's all like sharing our experience to the people when as and when needed. And some organization has their resources, and some organization has strategies, some organization has world best learning so that they can share. So now it's a time that everybody has to come together and identify the unique capabilities of each and every organization. So I see every women entrepreneurs are also as a key stakeholders, because everyone solved a unique issue and they are very close to the issue, right? So they know actually what they are solving, and they are very close to the community. And the policymakers they are creating policy with the knowledge they gain from the researchers and different multiple thought leadership inputs. But also, are we considering the real information from the grassroots when we are creating policies, which is really making the impact? Or are we really taking the input from the people who are going to execute the policy, right? So that, they can execute it in a meaningful way and make the impact. So these are the ways that really we wanted to collaborate in our perspective, right? And also, when you check about the corporate connections with WeConnect and the other organizations, so we also need to understand the corporates deliver a lot of training programs, and then they select suppliers for their supply requirements. They do business with, and they also have a responsibility of mentoring and developing the suppliers. So there are several examples. For an example, I can take, as Jaydeep is here, I can take the EVA example. They identify the micro entrepreneurs, or maybe like for a service related business, it doesn't need to be a large business. It can be a small, based on the criteria of the definition of definition of MSME given by the government. But still, they can give up better solutions compared to the other competitors. So the EY's objective is to identify those change makers, those innovative companies, and onboard them as a supplier. And over the time, the contract value go bigger and bigger. So they mentor, they help them, so they develop them with a purpose, so that it's an ultimate typical example that every organization has to take. Unfortunately, not every organization is taking that collaborative approach, right? So what we see, that kind of an approach is a partnership, it's a collaboration, right? And they identify the business from WeConnect network, and then they take them through a journey. But some of the organization, they say, okay, if you have 5 years experience in working with the larger private companies, then you can bid for it, participate in the RF. So those are like kind of blockages. So why that exists is these kind of procurement policies and the systems were created years ago, when the size matters, when the revenue of the organization matters, right? So they did not have an understanding about the impact the organization is creating at that point of time, even though it was like, meant to be understood in that sense. But now, as we discuss, the size is not a matter. The impact is matter. So what is the problem this organization is changing a matter, right? So I think I spoke a lot, so I just wanted to kind of like summarize that. We all work
around the impact, so
around the impact, and make sure that we identify each and every person's company's strengths and work together so that we can go through a meaningful journey.
Actually, you bring up two good points, and one is which I'll go to Jayashree actually on, and one later on to Vanita and Madhuban. So one is you spoke about building trust. Collaboration is not about the project. It's not about just doing a project together. That's just one way of looking at collaboration, right? Collaboration is about relationship building, the long term, right? And in that is really where the power of it, the multiplier effect of it really comes in. And I will ask Vanita and Madhuban to talk to that point. So give you all some time to think on that. But at the same time, the last part of what you said, when you're so passionately talking about impact and why that is more important than size, is because when someone is doing just business, right? There's nothing wrong. It's good because obviously you create some amount of employment. But the fact is that when you're a business person, you are really building value for yourself, right? And you may employ some people, and that's great. And I mean, that's the impact. That's the limit of the impact. But when you're doing a social enterprise, okay, the impact of what you're going to do is far reaching. In fact, just yesterday we had a roundtable where we said beyond financial capital, building human, social, natural, and physical capital, right? And that's what social entrepreneurs do, right? They are building human capital, they are building social capital, they are building natural capital, they are building physical capital. And so that is something that is not just for them to is out of the question because they're doing whatever they're doing for themselves, but what they're doing has got the impact which can be intergenerational. Because once you support somebody's livelihood, like what Madhuban does, or like Vanita does, the capacity building of an entrepreneur, their entire family gets affected, their entire business, okay, gets affected, their growth, and then the entire ecosystem around them also starts benefiting, because that's what research shows. I think, Jayatri will probably speak to this, that when women get empowered, it is their entire family and everybody around them that who also get supported and kind of benefit. So, Jayatri, maybe you can speak to, why is impact so critical, and what is this impact? Not just the impact, but what is the kind of impact we see when we start supporting right from grassroots onwards and focus on impact, whether it is in green, whether it is in the environment space, whether it is in the social space, or whether it is just in human capital space. So, yeah, over to you, please.
Thank you. Very large question, so but a critical one. So I won't be able to do justice to it in a overall manner, but I will try. I'll come from the social and then may walk through the other thing. I think the biggest part when we see about impact, we look at impact, what's happening to this economic empowerment and what is happening to this business creation, livelihood creation, or women owning a business and women having control over financial resources. If I look at it that way, I think the whole family changes. The girl child get an opportunity to study. They manages the care burden in some ways. Yeah, they try to do that. The medical is taken care of. She herself becomes confident. She has an agency to have a control over her own life. So a control over what's happening in the family decision making. And then I think if we stretch the family from a social part of it is community, she becomes a valued member of the community. Unfortunately, once we do not have financial control or finance in our hand, women's work, women's identity somehow gets diluted. So, and when we have that, we have this say in every part of our life. So the community, we become, the women become a model. If I see what's happening, where I'm speaking from in Madhya Pradesh, and when I work with the women very closely here, and I see the change, the transformation that happens in their body language, the way they speak, the way they connect, the way they, the way they negotiate, and the way they put their they fight for their own rights and for the children's rights and for the family. It kind of cuts across their social identity in a sense of caste, class, creed, whatever age or whatever you say. They really take control over their lives and their families, positioning and the social positioning of it. That's a huge thing. I think when you talk about green and we talk about sustainable, sustainability point of view, we have seen in COVID time. COVID has shown us what really can women-led small enterprises can really do, which were impactful, not very big, but very impactful. They survived because they had a purpose. They have, innovated. I think it was in the beginning. One of the speakers said that it was something that you spoke in your first session today when you started your 9:30, that there will be challenges, but how do you make the challenge into opportunity? COVID also opened up so many opportunities for them. Look at tourism, what happened. Look at the agri-tourism business that has come up. Who thought about agriculture will be part of a tourism experience, which will be a product. It was there. You go to a village, you go and see agriculture, but a product, how do you look at it? You look at what's happening in the entire rice value chain. Look at any of those. Then you look at the entire renewable energy journey. The kind of leadership that is coming up from the from the women leaders. Look at the transformational journey that's happening in the villages, because SHGs are having that control and can influence a Gram Sabha with that knowledge and that experience. So so I think it's a complete transformational journey when you are bringing in entrepreneurship to that level. And I just wanted to take 1 second to say this thing. The government of Madhya Pradesh and the state rural livelihood mission has done this. It's kind of kind of testing out a very interesting concept. It's called rural consultancy services. So what they're doing, what we're just talking about, there are so many things, and the entrepreneur has to go all over the place, right? They don't know where to go, so they have to run around. So they are trying to make it like a single window kind of a service. It will be at the district level, and they're bringing in all services, not only financial but also looking at in agriculture knowledge, knowledge of livestock related issues, gender based violence. Where do you go? How do you prevent? What are the kind of response mechanisms? It's a kind of composite thing, and they are trying to experiment with this to see that whether it works or not. They're trying to make it actually a business model, so that these women who are providing services actually earns money from there after a particular point. It's a fantastic model, and I think at the grassroots level to bring in those kind of information will be very, very important. Also the kind of linkages that we're looking at, the credit system and the finances and all of that. So yeah, so that's, I would stop at this. Thank you.
No, I think you did justice to it. Yes, of course, it's a very big topic, and there's a lot more that we need to go deeper into. But considering this is the time we have, I think thank you so much for sharing it, because you did both the social as well as the environmental, and every value chain can really, and that's the big difference between supply chain and the value chain, right? Many people tend to ask, how does that different? And it's not just about a supply chain. You're creating an entire value chain that continues much, much beyond what you originally are getting into and what you are offering. So impact is such an important factor. And I'm more and more convinced that, we need to get together and really get the government to look at it and say, put WSG as a special category separately. Yes, there are policies exclusively for women. There are policies exclusively for climate-based things. There are all those. There are some things that are there for social. Yes, individually, separately, they are all there. But to be able to see them as an entire category by itself, I think would be a phenomenal way to bring a focus on impact and value creation, rather than looking at it only purely in economic terms, and the more we have this integrated thinking and what I like to call as socio-environnomic, because when I first started Idobro, I realized that, there is no word. Can you believe this? In English, at least in English for sure, there is no single word that tells you how to think of all three together. The triple bottom line obviously exists, but triple bottom line has always been about the economic bottom line per se, right? And it doesn't really give you a sense of what does that triple bottom line mean. So I coined this word socio-environnomic. It sounds like a little bit of a tongue twister, but honestly, there are so many bigger words that are much, much more difficult. So I'm pretty sure with a little bit of trying, you'll be able to get it. Let us all try over here. Yeah. So socio-environnomic, how do we really bring that out? When you say WSG, you're doing that, right? So you're saying economic is important. I'm not saying that it should not be there, but along with that economic, the social and the environmental must be also integrated into it. So yeah, I mean, that is going to be my big collaboration project post this, and I hope that you all will all kind of get involved with it. But let me now go to Jaideep, right? So and I'm going to come back last. I'm going to close because I think relationship building is the most important. So I'll close with that, with Vanita and Madhuban, to talk about relationships. But Jaideep, even to get started on that whole relationship piece, you yourself said just now, while you all select certain women, entrepreneurs with whom you work with, how do you look at it as a long term? The projects that you are creating, the programs that you're creating, because that's the other problem with a lot of programs, right? It's like a checklist, or it's just like, a one-time kind of a thing. How are programs now being designed for the long term? Because they understand it's about a long term and not a systems lens, rather than a short-term quick project that we want to do. So yeah, over to you.
That's a pretty good question. So, Karan, just wanted to tell you, okay, when we start any development or mentorship program, right, the first thing that comes to an entrepreneur is if we can get a contract with EY or any other corporate, right? So that's the first thing that comes to their mind, right? But we make it very clear at the beginning only, okay, it is just for your development, okay, but there is no contract which is mandatory, right? Now, when it comes to onboarding a supplier, okay, in any corporate, it is not easy thing. Okay, now most of the organization they have even stopped onboarding suppliers. Okay, with the recent situation. Okay, even a lot of job cuts are happening across, right? Now, when it comes to small diverse businesses, okay, what they are doing differently than other, right? What is that they are bringing to the table? Okay, as you mentioned, right, in onboarding process, okay, there are a lot of assessment they have to complete, right? One is the risk assessment, okay, they have to meet the legal requirements and the compliance thing. The second is the ESG and the sustainability. Okay, a lot of this corporate, okay, they have come with the ESG and the sustainability requirement, so they have to meet those expectation as well, right? The third thing is that they have to come with a very quality, okay, product. Okay, their pricing should be very competitive, okay, when it comes to RFP participation, right? So when it comes to meet all these criteria, okay, it is very difficult for small enterprises, okay, to compete with the large organization who are already existing in the market, right? So what we suggest them, okay, so this is how we are building this development program, because every corporate, the procurement model is very works very differently, right? They have to first understand the how the corporate procurement model works, right? And that is why we are bringing this development program, so that they will get some fair idea, okay, on the on the corporate procurement model, right? So that is why I mentioned we are just proposing a lot of workshops, okay, to like business strategy, growth strategy, and all, right? So they understand, okay, what is the basic requirement, and how they can be part of any corporate business, right? And sometimes when we feel, okay, it is very difficult for them to meet those criteria, then we start introducing them to our top strategic partners, right? So they can be our tier 2 partners instead of becoming a tier 1 partner, right? So that will help them getting those businesses. They can come indirectly to EY or any other corporate. Okay, that becomes an easy process for them. So there are organizations like JLL, okay, Office, then we have CBRE who work on those, or we work, right? So they hire those small businesses as part, and we also give some kind of target, okay, on the ESG target and supplier diversity target, right? So they should also start hiring and onboarding those suppliers. So this is one thing which I wanted to really highlight here, because these are some of the problems. Because whenever I participate in any conferences, be it a WeConnect conference or any other conferences, okay, and whichever supplier we meet, right, they have the first thing, okay, they wanted to do a business, or they wanted to be part of any corporate business. But that is something, this is the real truth, okay, because when we introduce them to our sourcing and category lead, okay, it is not work in that way, because it is the business decision. The business has to take the decision, right, with whom they wanted to go, because ultimately we have to serve our clients, right? So that is very important. So we should make sure the businesses who are going to be onboarded with EY or any other corporate, they have to be very relevant with EY's requirement.
Right. No, such an important thing. And, I guess entrepreneurs have to learn a lot of these things along the way. And it needs a lot of hand holding, like you said, dispelling some of the assumptions that they have and perception. So I'm going to close with our entrepreneurs right now on the table. We started with the entrepreneurs on the table. We need to close because they are the reason why we are having this conversation, right? So, Madhuban, I'm going to twist it around and ask you to go first. Yeah. And you tell me, yeah, so how do you build trust? What kind of relationships have you built over a period of time? And this can be with different stakeholders. Like you said, you have so many different stakeholders. You need to map them, you need to prioritize them. So how have you managed your relationships? And are there any that you'd like to share, which has been a high point and also a low point? Because that's also something for us to learn from, right? That relationships can go sour, relationships can go south. How do you then manage those kind of situations, as well as the ones which are great and long term and doing really well for you, right? So yeah.
Right. Thank you very much, Karan. I think business is all about, the enterprise is all about building a relationship. I recall when in 2017, I started thinking like enough working for others. Now for a bigger and better impact, let's start my own social enterprise, right? That moment of time, it's the initial business was all about the relationship. The people I had worked, the project what I had curated with the corporates, with the multinational companies, etc. So when it comes to building a business, obviously in the initial days, we go to the low hanging, right? The people to whom we know, they know us, what value we had already created and what sort of brand image we had already created in the market to the customer, supplier, community, etc. in totality. So I think from the reach and scale perspective and taking the collaboration as a word, the relationship is very important. As an entrepreneur may build a great solutions, but partnership and institutions with government, NGOs, corporates, and community organizations help the solutions to reach to more people faster and more effectively. For that perspective, it's very important to build that relationship with anyone and everyone across the value chain, right? As we keep on saying, life is all about creating a nice memory, then the enterprise is all about building a solid relationship, right? And also the collaboration creates a sustainable impact, right? The most enduring enterprises are built not built on just the transaction alone, they are built on the relationships, right? So in totality, it's very, very important for us as an entrepreneur to look from the collaboration to the relationship, right? I might start collaborating with the people, but at the end, if I'm able to build a very solid, sound relationship, whether it's the corporate, whether it's the community, whether it's the government or any institutions, I think for an entrepreneur like us, taking that solutions to the scale to create a larger impact, our journey become a very, very easy. So I would like to just close on that.
What a beautiful way of putting that. Life is about moments and entrepreneurship is about relationships. So beautifully put, Madhuban. I did not know this side of you, huh?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for putting it in a way that very easily we can understand and yet how profound it can be, right? So, really great. Okay, Vanita is a bit busy. So, great. So, Vanita, we're going to be kind of reaching the end of our conversation, and I'm going to also ask Joyce to perhaps have the last word. But tell us, Vanita, what are any stories to share from an entrepreneurship, relationship building perspective, positive, negative, in between, whatever, something, do share, please.
I think for an entrepreneur, like Madhuban rightly said, relationship is the oxygen. You need to breathe in, breathe out.
Yes,
breathe in good relationship, breathe out bad relationships or the relationships you don't connect. Because holding on to people you don't resonate with is already a killer, honestly. So in my own experience, I have worked in the past with few corporates where the values are totally misaligned. And I never thought twice to let go. Because for me, honestly, end of the day, I think peace of mind and good health is paramount than anything else. So while you're in business, I think placing integrity in relationships and being transparent and honest, because even in the past while doing our programs, there have been instances where we missed out something or we genuinely forgot, which is a very integral part of our program or our services. Owning up your mistake and not repeating them is the key. And that actually builds strong trust. Right. So I think that's the key where people say, at the end of the day, all of us are human and we're bound to make mistakes, and that's okay. Right. But you got to be really very honest, transparent, and that works well. Now, listen, end of the day, I think as a philosophy says, you can't please everyone. Yeah. So, when you make mistakes, if the corporate, genuinely has the values of being open and understanding, they say, it's okay, fine, we get it. Let's not do it again. Get it. You go ahead. There are some people who might not want to work with you ever, and that's okay. And I said, so the point is that should not compromise your values. So when you start your business, even if it is a small, micro business, I think having values are fundamental because they really anchor you in your relationship building. When you are clear how you want to work, it becomes easier for other people to understand how you work, and then the work relationship becomes easier. Yeah. So compromising and pricing differentiation again with relationship again dilutes your credibility in the market. So I think it's very important to understand that when you're working with relationships, try not to compromise on your services. Because I see, women entrepreneurs whom I mentor and work with, I ask them, what is your key differentiation? They say quality, but I say that's fundamental. Like my professor in IM Bangalore always says, never talk about quality, because quality is like, it's
Absolutely.
Yeah.
expected.
The
I mean,
giving,
you can't do business, if you're not giving quality. So what are
yeah,
you harping about quality? So
yeah,
I always tell my women, go a little more deeper and don't be on the periphery, because in relationship, and for me, like Madhuban said, right, uh, one good thing is even I built a strong credibility while working in a corporate. So if you ask anyone about my facilitation training, they'll just recommend me, and that's a kind of credibility I build in the market. So if it is training, leadership, emotional intelligence, Vanita Chaudhary, so if you're able to build that kind of space which is
right.
for you, and with an again intention of giving the best. In fact, before we started, I had a client who called me for doing a particular program. And I gave them my feedback saying, hey, while this is good, I think you need to explore a little bit open. And that's how I am. I always give the best. So, one, uh, for the women or the men who are listening out there, relationship building takes a lot of time, and one mistake can ruin the whole thing. So, one, be very careful on how you interact, how you communicate, and how you build a brand for yourself. So, maintaining brand consistency with
Right.
anyone you work is going to be a very key factor. And that comes when you're very clear about your values. So please stay put with your values, with the ideation with which you started this business, and do not compromise it along the way. Then it becomes like, you dilute so much that you don't know who you are at the end of the day, and you are lost. So don't get into that space. That's what I could say.
Thank you so much, Vanita. I think that's such sound advice and so valuable, right? In terms of how to retain your own identity, stick with your value system, and work on that from that foundation. One of the small things that I would add to that is like the RISE values that we espouse. Responsible, inclusive, sustainable, and ecosystem friendly. Because these we believe are universal values, no matter who you are, where you are, what you do, and what is your background, right? Gender, caste, creed, etc. All of it, because all of us have different value systems at some way or the other. We all, based on our experience, our lived lives, we definitely come with different value systems. So sometimes having a minimum common, so we call this the minimum common value system, that which we can all relate with somebody else. So like you said, being responsible, obviously that is but natural. Being inclusive, being understanding of other people, right? And it's so important. Sustainable, think of the long term, don't just think about the short term. And then of course ecosystem friendly, be conscious that you're part of an ecosystem. It's just not about you, right? It's also about others as well. So when you start having this kind of minimum, as I said, meeting point for people, then of course you have your own different value system, and that can work for you as per how you want to work with. But find a minimum common thing by which you can bring people together and then build on that. So thank you very much for adding that aspect of relationship building, which is really value driven, right? So that is great. Value creation happens when you have values that you share, right? So shared values lead to shared value creation. So thank you very much for sharing that. So Jayatri, I'm going to really close with a last word from you very quickly, that with the UN really being this multilateral that brings people together, I think collaboration is a very natural part of what you do. So maybe one last bit of advice or hope that we can bring together. What can we do with government or policies to really bring this WSG up front and top? Yeah.
I think lots have been spoken already, Karan, on the collaboration. I think, as you said, I think also Vanita said that, Madhuban said that as well, that trust is a core. With government, I think consistency, trust, and quality is given. So that is anyway. Without that, you can't move forward. So in my work, I've seen that with government collaboration needs patience, and government collaboration needs trust. Once you have that trust established, I've seen that it is actually quite a easy going, because they then start believing you. They start, and other thing I've found is if you have evidence and data. you know. You going and talking about anecdotal, हाँ वो महिला ने ये बोला था, ये हो गया था, those blah blah, I think nobody has time to listen to it. You go with concrete data, and data, I'm not talking about only about the quantitative data, I'm talking about qualitative data which makes sense, of proper convincing qualitative data supported with quantitative data is good. It is not only about data, because see, we're all talking about SDG, right? And we're talking about other thing I found it is when we talk about SDG, we're talking about SDG 5 and all of that, but SDG, all 17 SDG has something or other to do with women. I find it very useful to work with government when you're talking from their shoes, how they are looking at those schemes, what are their pain points. I'm talking about this, they have this PM Swanidhi Yojana, the scheme, which is a wonderful scheme for basically focus on the street vendors. Primarily, they're registering them. It also have a social security. It starts from 15,000 loan, and then it goes, it kind of goes to 25. I think 50,000 is the last one. Now they have these, but the problem is it reaching where it should reach? And that is where is the collaboration required. We are all mobilizers. We are all there on the ground. We are working with those women continuously. We may have different categorization of women. Women have we may have working with the formal sector, informal sector, nano, macro, micro, whatever. But we all are connected. I think this group, even this 6 of us sitting here, we have so much of wealth of information as well as mobilization in terms of women entrepreneurs of diverse nature and diverse categories, diverse levels. Even that, if we can pull together, and that experience, if we can share with government in a constructive manner to influence policy changes or to implement the policy that they already have. I always say that we do not have dearth of policies. We have an issue of implementation and execution. So before we do new policies, my intention always to see that, or as even women, we always see that how do we help government to implement those policies and reach that last mile, because itne sare hai, as I think that was somebody was saying about it. There are so many schemes women don't know, or women entrepreneurs across the economic spectrum don't know. So that will be the key to look at it from a point of view of our mobilization power, which already we have, our collectives that we already have with us, the kind of people that we already have that kind of a resource which is with us. We also have the knowledge of where is the gap and what the challenges are. We also know there are policies and practices which could be, and the schemes which could be accessed. Can we map it out? I go back to the thing of Madhuban saying that can we map it out, this whole ecosystem which already exists, and then see how to pull it in, and then work with the government to see how we can really make that thing happen.
Yeah, no problem. I think you have something to take care of. Anyway.
Yeah, I have spilled my coffee onto my laptop.
Oh goodness me! I'm so sorry to hear that.
I'm sorry to be out.
Go ahead. No, we understand totally. That's perfectly fine. So anyway, we've come to the end of our time and we actually have to close. This has been great. I think we've got points and a lot of things to take back with us, and hopefully also work together to do more also. We are already doing a lot together, but we should go. So thank you so very much. In fact, the next session after this, by the way, there is one workshop that talks about government, working with government, the skill that entrepreneurs have forgotten, so that is one. And then there is one on inclusive fashion, again, an amazing session. And then we have later in the day, we actually have a pitch fest, our very first pitch fest at the RISE PECOWorld Summit. So lots happening today for entrepreneurs especially, and I hope we'll see more people coming in and do spread the word, right? But the last request for everybody is PECO, right? The PECO world. So please go to the PECO world, because we have created spaces for you to not just remain a participant, but from a participant, become a contributor, become a member, become a collaborator. And there are 3 different spaces to do it. The go-to exchange, where you can offer to do something or ask for something. The PECO net, where you can become members of different kinds of groups that already exist or create a new group. And then finally, of course, PECO circle, which are projects that are there where you can probably be a part and collaborate with them. So please do check it out, and we'll be very happy to work with whoever would like to join in. And yes, thank you once again very much. It has been an awesome time learning. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Karan.
Thanks,
Thank you for the
everyone.
commendable
Thanks.
job. Take
Thanks.
care. Bye-bye. Bye, everyone.
Say
Yeah.
something?
Yeah, one small announcement from my side. So for my upcoming program, okay, I just wanted to tell you guys, if you have any small businesses which are women owned, okay, maybe you can just pass on this information, okay, who are really interested to be part of this program, because we will be going to provide them a free certification, because the idea here is to create an impact, okay, on the small entrepreneurs, okay, just to give them a level up, right? Because most of the corporates, they are looking for certified women-owned businesses, right? So instead of registered businesses, so we just wanted to give this opportunity to those small businesses.
100%. We will do that. Yeah. Thank you so
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.